Hello everyone, and welcome to our first lesson for our new watercolor project. And I chose this, number one, because it's snowing. We've had a lot of snow. I don't know, I'm gonna see if I can show you, hold on. Can you see? Yeah, it's a lot of snow. So I'm in that winter frame of mind right now, which I love. I love it. I know not everyone shares my opinion on that. But I mostly chose this because it is a really good way to learn how to leave white space. That is important when we're painting something like snow. And it had some beautiful glowing colors otherwise, red and green, complementary colors. And how we can use those colors to create the neutrals that we need to make the snow and to make other colors in the picture. So we've got red and green, right? So we're gonna work with red and green. And we've got, I'm gonna use my split primary palette. So if you have a selection of warm and cool red, yellow, and blue, that's what I would suggest using for this to really start learning, more mixing techniques. If you're a little rusty on that, and even if you know it really well, it's never a bad thing to practice. So I went ahead and I put my line drawing, which I uploaded a picture of for you so you could see what I drew. You don't need to copy this exactly, but this is about how much I would draw, and I made it pretty dark. I will lighten this up before we begin painting. But what we're going to do is we're going to paint a background, okay, with a little bit of neutrals and stuff. And we're going to go ahead and put down the background fairly soon, okay, fairly quickly. And I want to, I want to show you how I would do that, okay? Around everything, just put this light neutral background in. It might not match the reference exactly because remember, when we're looking at an image, especially like a photograph that we're trying to paint, sometimes we have to eliminate things to make a better picture. Sometimes we have to change things to make a better picture. Not every photograph translates really well into a painting. So that's another lesson. So I did sort of simplify this. And I basically have this big mound of snow. I have this sort of jagged little branch. I've got a bunch of berries drawn in basically the configuration that they are in the photograph. And then I have the leaves, okay? And then in between the leaves is going to be just the background. Mostly there's a lot of white, right? But we're not going to leave it totally white everywhere. So we're going to start with the background, and then not the whole background, right? But just enough to give us our edge. We're going to lighten these lines up quite a bit before we do that. And then we're going to go in and paint the other colors. So what I want this video to be about is basically getting prepared, right? And getting your colors out and seeing what you need, finding some reds and greens. I suggest mixing your own greens, but if you have greens that you want to use, that's fine too. So the red, and just like always, we're going to make some color swatches over here and make some notes. Okay, so if I'm looking at my reference image, I just see a really strong red berry, and it's not really cool and it's not really warm. So what I do in that case is I like a nice transparent red. So I'm going to use cool red, so more of a magenta. Excuse me, guys, I'm kind of fighting a little cold. And then some warm red. And if I mix the two together, I get a really vibrant neutral red. Okay, so warm red and cool red together give us this sort of bright neutral red. And that's the color I'm going to use for my berries. Okay, so just a mix of warm and cool red. If you have a bright neutral red that you want to use that's fairly transparent, then go for it. Use that red. But we just need this sort of luminous bright red. Okay, now the red berries have shadow around them, okay? And so to make that shadow, we're gonna mix up some green. And the greens in this image are rather bright, okay? So I'm gonna start actually with a cool blue on the other side of my palette. I'm gonna make some cool blue on my plate. And I'm gonna add warm yellow. If I added cool yellow, I'm gonna get this bright sort of harsh green that's not natural at all. But the greens in our, the berry leaves are actually quite bright greens, but they're not like lime green, you know? So I'm gonna use warm yellow. And warm yellow and cool blue, just mix sort of 1-to-1. I'm gonna put my green swatch here. Make a green sort of like this. So I think I need a little bit more cool blue in there. Let's see how that is. About like that. That's a green that I'm really happy with. Now our greens take all sorts of turns in this picture. It goes from very dark and a little bit bluer. So we could even add a little bit more of our cool blue to make that deepest, darkest green. Okay. To sort of a mid green like this. And then it even goes lighter than that first one I did. So I would put quite a bit more, or even, once I have this green mixed, even add a little bit of cool yellow to make that really lightest green that I see in places, okay? And then we've also just got some yellow. And so I would just take my warm yellow and add a whole bunch of it to get that yellow color we see in that one leaf. Okay, so we can do it all really with cool blue and warm yellow, with maybe a touch of cool yellow when we need a little bit more brightness. Okay, so the cool yellow is always gonna brighten our greens up. The warm yellow is gonna warm them up and make them a little bit more natural. So we have all the greens we need, really, from just using cool blue and then a couple yellows. Barely need to use the cool yellow. So now that I have some of this green mixed up, I can make that shadow color for my berries. So if I just pick up some of that dark green, just a little bit on my brush, and add it to my red, I'm gonna get some lovely shadow colors. And I'll make some more over here by just adding a little bit of that color to this green. I can get some really dark colors that'll be perfect for those shadows without losing my color harmony, okay? The other color that we need to think about is the branch. And really, I've got it right here. I've got a brown right here, okay? By mixing the red and green together, I can add a little bit more yellow to it to make a warmer brown. I can add a little bit more blue to it to make a darker brown. Here are browns. They may not match our image directly, but it's brown and we want it to have harmony. So I'm just using the colors that are already on my plate. So red and green make all the colors we need. All right, now I want to think a little bit about the background. And the background, there's some grays, right? So I could add a little bit more cool blue to my brown here. And then lots of water to it. And I could get some nice grays that are going to blend well with my image, okay? And then there's also some areas that are a little bit more, I don't know, sort of tan. And so I can add a little bit more red to my gray and a little bit more yellow to my gray. And I can get sort of that, with lots of water, get sort of that sandy color that I might see in the background too. Just a little bit. There's not much of it. So between green and a little bit of gray and this sandy color, we should be able to get a nice background. Okay, so what I want you to do for this lesson is I want you to get your drawing done on a piece of cold pressed paper. And I want you to make some color combinations of cool blue, warm yellow, and maybe a touch of cool yellow if you need it, to try to mix some colors that represent what you see, all right, in the reference image. And I'm looking at this here and it might need to be a little bit darker. All right, so let's say I want to mix a black. If I just take some warm red, okay, depending on your paints, this might change a little bit. But basically, if you start with warm red and you add cool blue, you're going to get close to black, okay? If it's a little too violet, you can take a touch of your warm yellow and add it in, and you're going to get a much darker color that'll be perfect for those berry shadows. So practice these color mixes. Make yourself take a 9x12 sheet of paper and make your drawing, put it on your paper, and then start making some of these mixes. So when we're ready to paint in a few days, you're prepared and you feel like you can make these mixes as we go along. All right, so very simple. 3 colors really. Warm red. I'm sorry, we used 4. We used the warm red and the and the cool red to make the bright red. Okay, or if you just have a bright red, that's fine. And then we used varying degrees of cool blue and warm yellow to make all of the other colors. Perhaps a hint of a cool yellow if you need to brighten something up somewhere. All right, everybody, that's it for this lesson. I'm going to keep it simple and approachable and something that you can finish in a little bit of time. So we'll take this step by step. I'm trying to stay away from the super long videos because I have all levels of students here. And I also have people with all levels of busyness. And so not everybody has time to watch, an hour-long video to get, really into a project right away. So these are going to be just steps. So that in our next video, we're going to put that background in and let it dry, and then get our first layer on the berries and leaves. Okay, everybody? All right, have a wonderful day. If you have snow, I hope you get out and enjoy it a little bit. And if you have warm ocean breezes and palm trees, I hope you're enjoying that too. All right, I will, wherever you are, I hope you're enjoying it. I will be back in a couple days with our first, with our first paint application, lesson 2. Take care.